very happy today to have Sosan Flynn, who is just starting as our first resident priest in training. And we've been in Sesshin this weekend, and he's been presiding as Doshi. So I'd like to welcome you and look forward to your Dharma talk.
And I want to introduce my teacher, Sosan Flynn. She's been my teacher since it's 2013, I think, and is the guiding teacher for Clouds and Water Zen Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I've been training. And she's been on the Zen path since 1992, and holds a master. I'm not sure if it's counseling or counseling psychology. Yep, and worked in the mental health field for a number of years, and has just done an amazing job building the community at Clouds and Water and linking social justice and racial equity as not separate from our Zen practice and bring all beings. So, great pleasure that you're here with me.
We don't do an opening chant.
Call and response.
Call and response. Okay, thank you.
The unsurpassed, profound, and wondrous Dharma.
The unsurpassed, profound, and wondrous Dharma
is rarely met with even in 100,000 million kalpas.
Is rarely met with even in 100,000 million kalpas.
Now we can see and hear it.
Now we can see and hear it.
Accept and maintain it.
Accept and maintain it.
May we unfold the meaning of the Tathagata's truth.
May we unfold the meaning of the Tathagata's truth.
Well, thank you, Tibetan, and everyone. Those of us in Sesshin, the theme of the Sesshin has been loving kindness practice. And I just want to say this is we at Clouds and Water, we do a loving kindness Sesshin every year, usually in February. And for that session, we do probably 3 or 4 guided meditations on loving kindness per day. So we didn't do that here, we did just a couple of them. But people were invited to do loving kindness or friendliness toward oneself as we're practicing together. So I want to say a little bit about that practice, do a little short guided meditation on the practice, and then we'll have a conversation. I think Tyson has some questions for me, and maybe you all do too. Maybe I'll have some questions, so we'll go from there. So loving kindness practice is not something that's from the Zen tradition. It's from the Tibetan tradition, but a number of Zen practitioners all over the place have incorporated it into Zen practice. So I want to say that my view of it is, how can we really be open and present to all things as they're arising, which is our instruction in Zazen. Just sit and be present with all things, yourself and all things. How can we do that if we have hatred toward ourselves? And a lot of us have that in some degree or another, have that self-hatred. And then the other question is, how can we realize the interdependence of all beings and things, which is another thing that we say in Zen, is like sitting with all beings, open to everything. And enlightenment is open to emptiness, or you could say open to or realizing the interdependence of everything, the no separation. So how can we really realize the interdependence of all things if we have hatred toward some of the things and people? Which is, so some of us have more self-hatred as a problem, and some of us have more hatred of other people and things as a problem. Some of us have both that problem, both of them, to one degree or another. And I say the word hatred is kind of strong, So for some of us, we can identify, yeah, I do have a strong hatred toward myself or toward others. But for others of us, maybe we don't have self-hatred. That is a thing, to not have self-hatred. In fact, that's why in the Tibetan tradition, they taught loving kindness, you start with the self, was the idea that would be super easy because everybody loves themselves. And we've had some weird cultural twist that's happened. That's, intergenerational trauma and whatever that's landed helps self-hatred. So we have to work with that. But some of us maybe don't. Some of us maybe don't have that. That's great. Then there's other ways you can engage the process. But even if we think, well, I'm not really I don't have hatred, but we can probably identify, annoyance, irritation, or maybe numbness or avoidance. So it's identifying that, and then how do we work with that? And so what I found is that the loving kindness practice is a way to kind of directly address this issue. So it's directly addressing my own self-hatred or hatred toward others so that I can be present and aware and awake and let go and realize the boundless interconnection of all things. So it's all there. It's all related. So I would like to have us do a short guided meditation, and this meditation is, so usually with loving kindness meditation, you contemplate the 4 loving kindness phrases, which we did, Taizan led us in a meditation on that yesterday. So those phrases are, may I be safe, or may you be safe. I'll say it as the you, but I or you toward others. May you be safe. May you have mental happiness, or another way that maybe is better to say that is to be content. So just have this, it's not happiness like giddy, it's in general like a sort of well-being happiness. May I have mental happiness, may I have physical happiness or health, and may I have ease of well-being, or may I be peaceful. So those are the 4: safe, happy, healthy, peaceful. And that you say those 4 over and over for yourself, near and dear one, or a benefactor, a near and dear one, a neutral person, and then a so-called enemy, difficult person. And then you extend it to all beings. But the important thing in that tradition is that even though you're extending it to all beings, that you start with particular beings, that you work on it in the particular first before you go to the general. And this also is kind of an antidote to Zen sickness, which is where we sometimes go to emptiness and letting go and forget that emptiness is form, and that there's things we need to pay attention to. So this paying attention to ourselves and then picking particular beings that we're offering loving kindness to is really helpful. And I also want to say that I'm going to do a guided meditation using some other phrases, but also to just say, this is just an experiment. You don't, I'm not saying you have to do this practice and you don't have to do it in this particular way. I mean, one way to do it is just cultivating a self-friendliness and friendliness toward others. So if there's some other way that you can touch into yourself and cultivate that, that's great. You don't have to do this. But I think Taizan and a lot of people have found that these phrases are great, and it's kind of like in AA, the saying, fake it till you make it. So sometimes we're saying these phrases, I don't really believe them, but somehow saying the words is a way of having different words be in my head rather than the self-critic, or having different words be in my head rather than the, annoyance toward others, oh, why did they do that? So anyway, that's why I found the phrases to be helpful. But anyway, because concentration doesn't come easy for me, I need to have things be more complicated. So the 4 phrases for me, soon my mind would wander. So I learned that there was another list, which was called the 11 benefits of loving kindness meditation, which was the idea these are the benefits that would come to you if you practiced it. And I realized, oh, well, these benefits would be things I could wish for myself. And they kind of sort of include the loving kindness phrases, but they're in a little more concrete way. So that's what I would like to offer to you. And I thought we would do the meditation first, because a lot of us probably have the self-hatred. So first we're going to do it toward someone near and dear, like easy to love, or a pet. And then once we've maybe cultivated a little bit of that, then we'll try to imagine that person or pet or being, other being, offering them to us and see if we can receive it that way. So we'll kind of have that little back and forth. So, all right, so let's just do that for a few minutes. And it'll be kind of faster than how I usually do it, so that we have time for questions and discussion. So if you feel rushed, just know you can look up the 11 benefits and do this on your own anytime. So first, just settling into your own body, really feeling yourself being here in this room, in this moment. And then calling to mind someone who is near and dear to you. So this could be a child or a grandchild or a niece or nephew. I forget the non-gender word for niece and nephew. Do you remember it? Anyway, child of your siblings. Sometimes for me it's easier with a young person. But it could be your beloved. It could be a parent or a grandparent. If you are lucky enough to have people in your life like that, that you feel just, there's no complication, kind of, there's just an immediate love and feeling of warmth and tenderness and friendliness that arises when you think of this person or being. So it could be a pet. And if you can't think of anyone that has no complications whatsoever, just pick the kind of the best person that you can find. And really bring this person or this being to mind. And bring that feeling to mind that arises of just this tenderness, love, and care that might arise in you when you think of this being. And then you can try offering them the 11 benefits of loving kindness meditation. May you sleep easily. May you wake easily. May you have pleasant dreams. May people love you. May spiritual beings and animals love you. I usually say angels for this one, but you can use whatever word. Devas is a traditional word. So devas, spiritual beings, angels. May those beings and animals love you. May spiritual beings protect you. May physical danger not harm you. May your face be radiant. May your mind be serene. When it's time for you to die, may you die unconfused. May you be reborn into happy realms moment after moment. And if possible, really sensing the way in which this being, this near and dear one, has received these loving kindness wishes from you. And see if you can feel their love in return. And then imagine them wishing these for you and seeing if you can hear them and take them in. And if you can't take them in, then just listen. May you sleep easily. May you wake easily. May you have pleasant dreams. May people love you. May spiritual beings and animals love you. May spiritual beings protect you. May your face be radiant. May your mind be serene. When it's time for you to die, may you die unconfused. And may you be reborn into happy realms moment after moment. So as much as possible, allowing that, those wishes, that love and friendliness from your near and dear one to settle into your own being. And you could silently thank that being for offering these to you. So we'll just close with a bow to each other. All right.
So, before I get going, I wanted to give you all the opportunity to ask a question. If you have a question about loving kindness or practice, something that came up, We'd like to open it up.
Yeah, if anyone would like to share how that was for you.
Oh, that's even a better idea.
Don't have to have a question.
I want to make the bar low so people will talk.
Yes.
Sosan, thank you so much. Absolutely beautiful. And thank you, Taiza. I really don't forget, or I've heard that, or if I recall it, I think it's very helpful. And I think if I say that to somebody in person, and really mean it, that it could be a very powerful thing, and so I visualized saying that to somebody and hearing somebody say it to me, and it actually felt really, really nice. However, I might, like you, I might change some things. Maybe I will say angels if I'm saying it to somebody who is Christian, and maybe, switch stuff around, and then maybe at the end just say, I hope you go to heaven. Something like that. But it was very helpful, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, for me, I grew up always hearing about guardian angels, and that they were there to protect you. And so even though I'm not in that belief system anymore, it still resonates with me. And plus, it's nice alliteration. Angels and animals. but yeah, however you want to change it was great too.
Sosan.
Yes.
I mentioned yesterday in our practice meeting that it's hard for me to wish these things for myself. And what's beautiful about that is if somebody else is wishing it for me, it's just a totally different experience.
Yeah.
I can receive it. I'm more tender and soft to it.
Right.
So that's.
Yeah. Sometimes we still have trouble though.
Yeah.
So, but it's a step. Yeah.
Yeah, just that shift is, it's game changing. So thank you for that.
I wonder if anybody on Zoom wants to say something. I think you can just unmute.
Baby there.
Max.
It's your baby.
Yeah, I maybe not so much a question, but just a note. I was holding her and walking while doing that exercise, and noticing that the first thing that came up was may you sleep well when she like, oh, this is a little self-serving off the bat.
That's great.
It was still a beautiful exercise. Thank you.
Someone else on Zoom?
There's someone else here.
Oh, yes.
So, where is all this hatred coming from, and especially the self-hatred?
Where does it come from? The self-hatred? Well, probably, so most directly, it probably comes from our parents, and then their parents and their parents. In some way, where along the line, there was a learned behavior of, to survive, you had to shut down and make yourself bad somehow. So, so that those seeds were somehow, those twisted seeds were planted, and then it just gets perpetuated unless we interrupt. But sometimes people have a family system or culture where they don't have that because that wasn't planted or wasn't planted as strongly. So, then that's great. But if we do, then working with it.
Nope.
Yeah.
Is there somebody on?
Someone
Yes.
online.
Okay.
And I think the lady in the corner wanted to talk to you.
Okay.
Hi. I was wondering what your recommendations were for people who are dealing with some pretty significant grief. And I've been really interested in attending a longer retreat, but I don't know if that's a good recommendation for someone who's going through grief, or if that would be, I feel like it would be something helpful, but what if I get there and it's overwhelming? you know, so I don't know, do you have any like recommendations that I can kind of filter through what I'm going through that would help me come to a decision whether a long retreat is good for me or not?
How long of a retreat were you thinking of?
I would like to go to a 7-day retreat.
Mhm.
But the longest I've done is a day-long retreat, and then IMS put together a weekend retreat where I did that via Zoom, so I was sleeping in my own bed, and I did that months before the grief process, before what happened. And so to me, that was wonderful, and I craved something much more than, you know, that. So I've been thinking that I would love to go do a longer retreat, but now I don't know if that would, maybe a 4-day would be something that would feel, I don't know. What are,
Yeah, so I think the main thing might be to like, who's leading the retreat? And how open are they to what modifications you might need to make?
okay, maybe I should get in touch with them first then.
Yeah,
Oh,
sometimes it's like, there's a retreat that's like, well, we're doing it this way and there's not a lot of modifications. And other times, you know, you have a chance to meet with one of the teachers, maybe they could give you, maybe in loving kindness or some practice that you could do that would help you, or maybe they would let you, you know, be not in the meditation hall the whole time, you know, just or go outside
okay,
for a walk or something. So I would
okay.
be the main thing that I would check.
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of reaching out to them first. I was just kind of seeing it as my approach to it and how I should think of it, you know, if I can do it or not. So yeah, that's great advice. Thank you.
And then it seemed like the person in the corner with the blue
Navad.
who wanted to talk, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Did you have a question about?
Oh,
No.
okay, I just misunderstood. Well, thanks for letting us see you.
All right. And Pam?
Yeah, this was an interesting exercise for me. I found that all the way through it, it was revealing little things about myself. You know, and I can't say exactly what, but, you know, it's sort of like, oh, it's interesting. So I didn't expect that.
You mean noticing like where it was hard to receive or hard to say, like that, those
Yeah,
sorts of things, yeah.
Things about, you know, trying to think of the right person.
Oh.
And, you know, also thinking about, you know, yeah, it revealed some things about myself.
Yeah, and if you take up this practice, and then, you know, so this was really short, and like, so if you can imagine doing it in a whole meditation period, then different people might come up and you could do it for them. Or sometimes I'll do, like I would do, say it each one 3 times. So may you sleep easily, and then pause, may you sleep easily, and you know, like that. Anyway, I just have to I have to come up with all kinds of ways to keep my attention focused, otherwise my mind wanders. So, and then, you know, then you can also do it for, you know, the other beings that I mentioned, like the benefactor, difficult person, neutral person, difficult person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some surprising resistance in places.
Yeah, so that's really good. So I mean, that's how, to me, that's how this connects with Zen practices. Then we notice, like we get to notice, oh, when this phrase comes in, what comes up for me? So it's just another way of noticing what's arising in Zazen. That's how I use it in conjunction with Zazen.
I have one, maybe I'm just soliciting comment, but seems like this is natural. Is there a sort of momentum to the practice? Meaning like maybe I'm working with the phrases for a while and it evokes a feeling and the feeling sort of stays. Is it, I mean, would you stick with the practice? Would you just allow the feeling to be there? Does it matter?
Well, I think I would allow the feeling to be there. And then I would notice if I'm grabbing the feeling and like wanting to try to get it to stay. But I think noticing it, noticing what comes up is good. And then, you know, noticing our avoidance too. So actually the reason that I first took this practice, I know this was going to be one of your questions for me, but I'll just jump ahead.
Go for it.
Was that, I mean, I didn't realize it was self-hatred, but I was like so intense on Zen practice being a certain way, which meant emptiness, which meant letting go of it, not clinging to anything, letting go of everything, but I twisted it to like pushing away everything. So even when happiness, like happy feelings would arise, I'd be like, this is not it. And like shut it down. So my teacher at the time, my first teacher, did two things for me, which were really helpful. One was I got a Dharma name. This was when Dharma names in our Sangha were only given in English. So the Dharma name I was given was Realized Delight. So wow, not even happiness. But like, okay, and then realized like it's already done, but I didn't feel like it was, but that's the koan I was working with. And then the other thing was to suggest that I get the Sharon Salzberg's book called Loving Kindness, The Revolutionary Art of Happiness, and take it up. And he had never done loving kindness practice himself. But, so for me, that was a way of like being able to allow these feelings to arise and then, take care of them. Yeah. How are we doing for time?
I think
We're just about out of time.
we are. I got one little thing I want to say.
Okay.
Just in case this is something that you have like a bunch of resistance to, because I had a bunch of resistance to it. And even sometimes still when I start it to myself, like sometimes it's hard for me to even feel my heart. So it's like it's something that has just gradually over time become more and more helpful. And again, it's sort of like I also use it on the fly when I notice, particularly if I'm in a situation and something like that momentary, like something like work comes up. It's a way to like work with that hatred that comes, that comes up because it's that desire to control. Usually I want something to be my way. So it's really super helpful in that. And yeah, super helpful. And I'm grateful to have, thank you for introducing me to it in this way.
Yes.
Is this written down somewhere? Is there
Yes.
some places?
Yes.
you can
So if you Google loving kindness meditation phrases, you will find the 4 phrases. If you Google 11 benefits of loving kindness, you'll
I
find
have
those
an extra
11.
copy.
And we have an extra copy here. And the other thing is, if you're really interested in it, I would highly recommend
Yes.
Sharon Salzberg's
Yes.
book.
Yes,
And
and
is
by the
this
same
on-
name.
Is this on YouTube, this presentation today?
Yes,
It will be.
All right, I think that's about it.
Okay.